It's like NPR.
It is like NPR. Good morning, everybody. We're in the studio today, and I say I'm always excited. I'm extremely excited today. My good buddy Todd, Surreal Cycling, is in the studio. We're kind of going to get you caught up on our adventure to Iceland that happened 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
2 months ago. And just kind of talk and then see where that conversation goes, and hopefully you enjoy it. Todd, where's home base for you?
Home base is in Cardiff, California.
Cardiff, California.
Just outside of San Diego.
And you've got family here in Bluffton.
I got family here in Bluffton. They've been living here for 11 years.
Holy cow.
But we started coming here as like 2 years old.
Okay.
Wow. We used to take the Oldsmobile with the Coleman, what do you call it? The Coleman camper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would drive that every summer.
Was that the pop-up kind?
It was the pop-up kind. Yeah, it was awesome. And like we took the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme with T-tops, classic car. And then we used to go to Myrtle Beach, and we would camp every day or every summer in South Carolina. And there was just something about, something about the pine, man.
Yeah.
This pine's it's so good. So then my parents found themselves back here. And then my grandfather and grandmother are just buried right over in Beaufort.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The National Cemetery?
Yeah.
So
National Cemetery downtown.
So yeah, my grandfather's buried here. My grandmother's buried here. And we've somehow landed here.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because my dad actually trained at Paris Island.
Oh, did he? Nice.
Because he was a Marine.
So for him, I'm sure it's pretty nostalgic.
It was really nostalgic.
Wow.
It's really strange to kind of have things come full circle like that.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, not figuratively at all.
Yeah, so there is a lot of stuff here that I didn't even think about until you just asked me that question.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. So we started working together, was on Honey Island. You had reached out to me for a drone operator for some stuff that you were doing with Surreal at the beginning stages of Surreal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's totally. That was like the first 10th, 11th episode, maybe less than that. So to give some people out there, I create cycling content that help people tap into some flow state to give them some answers or some time or just some space in their lives. So I take people on adventures in bikes, hunting island, Iceland, Hawaii, Burning Man, churches, warehouses, and I give the user an experience that they can just kind of get a break in their world, and at the tap of a button, they can kind of ride all these different unique places that bikes have never been.
Some of them have no need to even be there.
Totally. So that's my job.
I mean, it's fun. We've done 2 Honey Island videos. We did Utah.
We did Utah together. It was a place called Powder Mountain.
That was enjoyable as well.
That was until we got to the what was it? The ATV ride.
I think I'm still sore from that ride.
We had a very rambunctious young man who wanted to drive real fast on the mountains, and
and I was in the back seat, and it was it was rough. I mean, I think I'm getting a tire in my arm, and
it was great. It was great all the way up until that moment. It was great.
And then we had the exciting adventure in Iceland. I had 4.5 days there. You had a little bit longer there.
Can I preface
you can please
with that? So I asked this guy if he wanted to go to Iceland, and I think I got an answer in 4 nanoseconds. I don't know what it was. It was super fast. I was like, "Hey man, do you want to go to Iceland in a month?" He was like, "Yes."
I think I said yes, and then I talked to my wife about it. So kudos to Kelly.
100%. Kelly, thank you.
Yeah. For making that happen. We had to throw some funds around. We postponed another trip because we were going to go to Alaska later in the month of that, so we kind of switched some stuff. We were going to do a cruise, but I was like, you know what, this is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I'm thankful for that decision,
man.
You crushed it. I couldn't have done it without you, and I appreciate it. And
that was stressful. It was fun. We had a good time.
We had a great time, but Iceland, as I told people on the way home when getting back, it is not a place to relax.
No.
It is relentless. It is all over you. It is an experience. You experience nature, and being inside the van is a very safe place.
It is. So we both rented vans, separate vans, obviously, that we camped out of. So looking into this, initially I had thought, okay, we'd have home base. We were going to be in Reykjavik or where have you in this kind of central location. And then we started picking out where we wanted to go and shoot so you could ride.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, this is not going to work because of the drive time and it just didn't make sense. So out of our box, camping in a van wasn't something that we had initially were going to do.
Right.
And we never thought about camping. We're not van camping people. You know what I mean? I'm not bougie in a sense, but I'm a glamper in that case that I would have a nice Airbnb. We're going to have cable. You know, we're going to have a nice blanket, some soft pillows.
Right.
I'm farthest from that.
Right. No, I agree. It's farthest from that.
It was
100%.
It was fun. We had a great time. I really, really enjoyed it and would definitely do van camping again, especially in Iceland.
And I do want to say a special shout out to Chris Burkhart. He is a photographer from California, but he now resides in Iceland. I befriended him on Instagram like a year ago, and he gave me his like map of where he likes to shoot on the island since he visited like 60 times, and he's done assignments for National Geographic. So he was pivotal to figuring out like where to shoot because like I didn't know where to shoot. Like I didn't.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities.
There's so many places. Iceland is so massively big and raw and beautiful, and we barely scratched the surface.
Barely. I mean, I wouldn't even
know if we scratched it.
Yeah, I wouldn't think we would. We would have. First night, so we got there. You got there first.
Yeah,
you guys kind of get some reconnaissance, or you even went. What was your route when you first got there?
When we first got there, we went straight to the lagoon.
That's right.
Yeah,
you got to do the lagoon.
You got to go to the lagoon.
The lagoon's number one.
The lagoon is right off the plane, straight to the lagoon, and have a little bit of champagne and like sit in the lagoon and have some like. It was one of the best things I've ever done for. What do you call that?
Jet lag.
Jet lag.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
Like ever.
Yep.
And then from there, we went down this place called the Golden Circle, which is like a mini loop outside of Reykjavik, where it has some of the largest waterfalls on Iceland, and they're massive.
Phenomenal. It's unfathomable to think about how big these guys are.
The nature there is so big and so mammoth. It was unbelievable. So we did that. And and it just all kind of magically happened. We actually stopped by Chris Burkhart's studio, and then this lady gave us a little note. She's like, "You should stop here." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we stopped there after one of the waterfall places. It was absolutely epic and beautiful. And then the first night we camped was my birthday, but the campgrounds in Iceland are super cool. There's like no reservations. You just roll in. And then you just take a spot, and then you leave your money in the box, and then you're out. It's so like stress free.
It was. So not knowing what to expect, there was stress there. But once you got there and you did that first initial one, like, oh, we got this.
Oh man, I was so stressed.
Yeah,
I was so stressed getting to Iceland. I had back pain, like physical back pain. I was like, how am I going to pull this off?
Yeah,
I've never done a foreign country before with a shoot, so I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
I've never been on the land.
Yeah.
So like I was freaking out.
Yeah, of course.
I totally legitimately freaked out.
Yeah.
And then the first night getting there, seeing that, knowing that you're coming, I was like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. But then it gets stressful from there. And you know why.
People are like, oh, you're in Iceland, how fun. It's like, slow down.
Slow your roll.
Slow your roll. We did the lagoon as well, right out the gate. Took your recommendation, got the van. Super easy. We were Cuckoo Campers is who we had used.
Nice. They got good reviews.
They do. Again, a plethora of van camping opportunities. Who do you go with? So we did our research, found one, and I don't have an issue driving a stick, so we chose one with a 5-speed. Yeah. That was kind of the route.
I forgot about that.
For us, yeah.
Okay.
Did the whole lagoon thing. We went to Sky Lagoon, I think is what it's called. It's one of the newer ones.
Sky Lagoon, that's right.
It's not a natural lagoon. It's recently been built, but it was phenomenal. And I look at my glasses. I don't see the coating has been eaten off of them because I wore my glasses in the lagoon. yeah. So
that's legit.
Yeah, that's so I'm paying for it now. I still haven't gone to get new glasses. But anyway, so we did that. We did a meat and cheese platter, which was phenomenal. And then we got back in the van and found our spot where we're going to meet at. And then it was uphill from there, downhill from there.
It was kind of uphill from there. We went to our first. We did some reconnaissance the day before you got there, right at High Foss, which was this giant. I think it's the second largest or third largest waterfall, tallest waterfall in Iceland. But here's the thing about Iceland. They don't actually know that.
Yeah.
They don't know that that's the official second largest or third largest because there's so many waterfalls that they don't really know.
Yeah.
So it's top. Let's call it top 5.
Yeah.
We went there the day before. It was amazing. It's really difficult to get there. It was rocky. We didn't have a 4x4, but we did it anyways. Yeah. And then you show up. We meet you.
Yep. At the campsite.
Yeah,
comes knocking on the door. We're kind of snuggled up, getting ready for we don't know what. And it's raining. So the whole time it's like, dude, is this rain going to lift? Is this going to stop? So you can't fly a drone in the rain, but you can if it's, it's questionable.
Yeah.
But I came packed with 2.
Yep.
The Mavic Air 3 Pro Mini, not the Air, sorry, the Mavic Mini 3 Pro. And then I got the DJI Avata Prior 2, which is the FPV drone, in anticipation of I was just going to do some crazy flying. So I was nervous. Greg, I have 2.
I was nervous too.
But
for you
never know what's going to happen.
Totally. Dude, drones get eaten up everywhere all the time.
So we meet up. We kind of just get a game plan to have a good night's sleep. 6 a.m., I think, 5:30. We start communicating and then decide to go ahead and make our trek to High Foss. And we'd never been, obviously. And that road was, that's like you're going to drive like 1 mile an hour in a stick shift. It's bumpy. And what they call our F-roads. I don't know if that was an F-road, but it could have been.
It wasn't an F-road yet.
It could have been.
Yeah,
F-roads you could not drive on unless you have a 4x4 car. We had 2-wheel drive vans, so it was questionable whether or not we should have been there. We decided to go anyway.
Yep.
And we made it to the top.
And we get to the top of High Foss, and you saw the
I did.
the waterfall.
2 minutes. I think 2 minutes in.
So I had a spot like overlooking the waterfall, this beautiful like valley looking over 2 massive waterfalls. They're like 350 feet tall. We were there the day before. It was gorgeous. I show it to you. We get out like, okay, we're going to do this. And all of a sudden the cloud moves in.
It
just moves thick. In. And then it stays in.
It stayed. I think we spent 5.5 hours camped out either in this van doing whatever. Went out and got some photos, but 5.5 hours literally inside a van in this parking lot waiting for this to clear with the hopes that it was going to clear.
And when you say that, like when you say 5.5 hours,
yeah.
I can't believe we did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I waited there for 5.5 hours. But we did. But we did. And then we pulled because then we still had pretty good light in terms of like sunset. So we were getting maybe 14 hours of light a day. But we pulled the plug up at like 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give or take.
4, something like that. So we leave High Foss. We're like, we don't get a shoot in. And we have to go to this place called like Jahan or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Gjain.
Yeah.
And then...
phenomenal. It was like Narnia.
Yeah. This place was freaking Narnia.
It was lush. There were maybe 3 cars in the lot. I think there were 2 people down there by the time you went down there and got set up. I made my way down. And then it was, I got perched up in this one location kind of out of sight. You were set up, and then it was just glorious the whole time.
It is... I'm getting like hot flashes. Like this place, I can't explain it to you. It was like an arena of waterfalls.
Yep. Not overly over the top. 2 or 3 were kind of decent.
Yeah, not big.
But just even the small running creeks, and then just literally small bridges. It was phenomenal.
It was a place where it's like, oh, this is where we're supposed to be, and that's part of this trip that I want to discuss and bring is like. There's a surrender and there's a trust and there's I don't know what's going to happen next, but maybe this is not where we need to be. It's all about like following this intuition of like the little breadcrumbs that you get. And like we could have stayed at High Foss and pushed it, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And then we got to Jahan and then the world like opened up to us and we're like, oh
yeah.
man.
No, it was how far? What was our drive from High Foss? Maybe
like an hour.
Because of the terrain, mainly.
Yeah.
But when you look at it on a map, it's relatively close. It's like going from here to Hilton Head via water versus driving on 278 or whatever.
100%.
So to have that, and it was a lower elevation, so that was the opportunity we missed when that cloud was settled.
Totally.
It was still there, but we had lost that. Dude, I just couldn't have asked for a better location.
Oh, man.
I was so stoked.
The footage that you shot and that we have is insane. I watched it not even on a bike the other day. I was just like sitting in my computer and I was like,
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. Like it's that place. I wish that everyone could visit a place like that place.
Oh, I agree.
It's so magic. It encapsulates what I think Iceland meant to me before I even got there, what it could be.
Yep.
It's got the lava like rock. It's got the lushness. It's just so raw.
It was.
And then we nailed that shoot.
Yes. I think it was, I'm going to go out and say it was probably the best shoot. One, because we had like 0 wind, maybe 4 miles an hour.
I'd agree with that.
Great cloud coverage, so we had a nice softbox effect on the visuals. There were no harsh shadows or nothing like that. Not a lot of people, so there's not a lot of maneuverability I had to do to kind of get creative with my shots.
It worked out.
Yeah, I was really happy.
Like it worked out. We just had I remember we got done with that shoot and we walked back to the van and I was like, dude, like, that was fire.
Yeah,
that was fire, and that shoot was amazing. So then we get in the van. And we drive to. By the way, we're in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's nothing out here.
No.
But every now and then you can kind of get a glimpse of like a Game of Thrones or a Star Wars like episode.
Oh yeah, for sure,
like
100%.
All these places that have been shot here, you get a little glimpses of like where they have actually shot on the island of Iceland. So then we stopped in another campground that night. It was dark. It was still raining and misty.
Yeah.
Then we ate and went to bed.
Yeah, that was even though we didn't physically do a lot. You rode once.
It was mentally tasking.
It was mentally tasking. Oh, 100%. And then we both had our spouses or significant others with us, and then having to make sure they're satisfied or happy or complacent or whatever to make sure they're okay.
Totally.
Adds to it.
Totally.
Which I don't think a lot of people realize sometimes.
Yeah, and then like it was the next day was full on. Like that's the most intense day of shooting ever. I don't know what time I woke up.
Yeah.
But we got up pretty early, and then we drove to was it Black's Beach? Is the next one?
I think that was the end destination, but we had stopped on the way before at one of the major waterfalls that we had seen, and we had pulled off on the side of the road.
That's
kind
right.
of jumped that fence.
That's right.
And you had walked up a little bit. It wasn't a good shot, so we had kind of walked up as well just to kind of see it. And on my story, I have a couple shots of that where you literally walk into this mountain and there's a waterfall like not even 10, 15 feet in front of you, and it's just falling, cascading down 60, 70 feet.
Yep.
Just the noise that's surrounding, the moisture, the water, everything is just so surreal. It's
and
insane.
And I forgot about this, but like that's when we were kind of like we were winging it at that point.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like we went to a glacier that I thought we could shoot next to, and you were a little bit behind us, and we went back and forth, and I was like, nah, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then we kept going to this place called Black's Beach, which has many things have been shot there.
Yeah.
There's a super famous Game of Thrones there. The Rogue One entry scene or intro scene is from that place. And we just decided to walk like 15 minutes outside from the major stuff. And it's windy. It's crazy. And I set up
19 to 30 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, I set up and I'm like, I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know how you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
I know I can do it.
Yeah.
But like I don't know how you're gonna do it.
Yeah. So I found a spot. It was kind of submerged. I mean, there was like, I'm gonna say marsh grass, if you will. I did acrylic of that particular space where we were at, just to kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm never going to forget that location, 100%. I'm never going to forget it. So I'm kind of in the center spot with this black sand, which I've never been around, and surrounded by all these, we'll say marsh grass, whatever, if you will.
It's green, though.
It's green.
It's vibrant green.
Up against that black,
yes.
Dude, phenomenal. So I pull out the drone. I get the helipad little kind of a neon or an acrylic piece sitting down so I can take off on that. And I take off, and dude, I mean, this drone, I've got a clip, and I'll show the clip right here, but it's moving. And I'm literally 19, 20 miles an hour. I got a screenshot of that wind speed at that time. It was insane. So shout out to DJI and their abilities.
For sure.
For taking this on. So you're set up behind me, and I take off. I'm like, fuck. So, I mean, once at that speed, you lose some of the functions of the drone, like return to home doesn't work.
I didn't know that.
No, yeah. And then my battery dies twice as fast, if not 3 times, because it's trying to fight that wind and stay stable.
Yeah.
So I just kind of do my thing. I get necessary shots that I know that would look good, just some traditional standard stuff. Even want to do some stuff for me, right? So I throw it in vertical mode and get some of those shots. And then it's got to happen. I got to do it. So I get out, I go out, gets a couple errors, wind speed error, return to home not going to work, and I fight it back, let it land for a minute, recoup.
And I can when I'm on the bike, like I can feel your stress.
Oh,
like I don't look at you.
I'm like this the whole time,
but I can feel it, and I'm just like, well, it's got to happen. But sometimes like my camera would fall over with the wind.
Yeah.
Pick it, and I got to wipe it off because it's raining and then fall over again. Yeah, and you just got to keep going. But I will tell you this: you haven't seen this yet, but like the product of Black Speech is insane.
I can't wait.
And I'll tell you some of the greatest spots of it was when you had the drone looking out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Because the ocean was mean. It's ferocious.
And it's the one that will sneak up on you. If you've seen a couple TikToks, it's like a sneaky beach. And that's a little tongue twister. Yeah. In the sense that if you're out in the water will crash and just literally engulf you and just swallow you up and then pull you back in.
Well, there's signs all over the place.
Oh, all over the place.
Because they must have lost plenty of people
had to have.
on that beach. A very special place, but we knocked that one out, and it turned out great. And like, shout out to you, shout out to my editor, Nate.
I can't wait to see you.
And it turned out like I will tell you this: the first 5 minutes, I started to cry.
Oh, I believe it.
I started to cry, and because like that one, when we do these episodes for Surreal Cycling, like I like to take local artists on the area. So we had a bunch of local Iceland artists that were on this specific mix. So we had Gus and Bjork and a couple others. We had Jonesy and Sugar Rose and a whole bunch of other stuff. And like putting that all together and giving a little tip of the cap to the local artists who have taken that raw nature and brought it into a soundscape. And what we try to do here is bring the soundscape with movement and also just the impact of this place and these places that we go. It's jaw-dropping. I can't even speak to how beautiful Iceland was and this location was.
Phenomenal. We wrapped, and it felt like it was an eternity. I'm like, damn, I know Todd's not still rolling. And I look back, and you're still at it. And, and I can tell by your tone or your speed or what you're saying word-wise to where you're at in your run I've learned over the last couple shots. And I'm like, dude, we got to wrap this up. In my mind, I'm saying that, right?
Yeah.
So then I pull the still camera out, and I get a couple shots of you just because it's Iceland, And then we finally wrap, make our way back, and I'm always worried that I don't have enough footage.
And I appreciate it about you.
I always worry I would rather have more than enough for because I know from an editing standpoint, obviously you can repeat some shots.
Yeah.
But your end user and viewer is going to know that. So I try to eliminate that. So I took the Avata out, and it has less wind capabilities than the Mini 3. And that thing, because it's not made, it doesn't have a stabilizer on the camera. It's more full body, and it's angled like this. So I take it up, and that's where you get that shot of me coming out where it peaks out, and you see these mountains.
Dude, it's iconic.
It is.
That is one of the most iconic. Did you know that's one of the most iconic places of Iceland?
I believe it. Once not going into it, no.
Okay, but
once I seen it,
yeah.
I think this has to be special.
That is top 5 shots you took.
Yeah.
And you'll see it soon.
Yeah.
But can you put it here?
I can put it here. Yeah.
Put it here for them because
right
that
there.
when you come around the bend and you see that.
Yep. Yeah.
Man,
oh, it's money.
It's jaw dropping.
Yeah.
Jaw dropping.
And then we had lunch. I know you guys didn't eat there, but Kelly and I had probably some of the best fish and chips I've had in a while.
Yeah, Icelandic food, by the way, amazing.
Expensive.
Don't get the chicken. It's $40 a pound. All right, it's $40 a pound chicken. But most of their stuff is on island.
It is. 100%.
They make it on island or a lot of local brands. You won't find a lot of American brands there. It's mostly Icelandic brands.
Yep. And that's where the cost comes in, obviously, because it's an island in the location of where it's at. It costs a lot to ship it in. But we saw a KFC, we saw a Subway, and maybe a Domino's. Other than that, that's it. No McDonald's.
Yeah.
No other fast food restaurants. They have their own versions.
Incredible food, though.
Phenomenal.
And the water there is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You just drink water everywhere.
Yep.
Like waterfall, stream, any faucet, anywhere, anytime. It is all natural, great stuff.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
So we wrapped that, and then my memory loses me. We left here when we went to the next location, right? And that was where with the sheep.
The sheep. Oh man.
So again, you find a location because you're ahead of us because we stop at one spot, get some photos for Kelly and I.
I can't wait to tell the story. This is such a great story.
And this one is it's more than just one thing just happened, right? There's a couple things that happened within this. So you're ahead of us. You find a spot. And then we kind of go, again, not knowing 100% where you're at. So I park, and I'm parked, and I get out, and I'm about to get blown over. I'm like, fuck, this wind is still howling. It's probably even more so because we're near that valley or in that valley.
Yep.
And, I'm talking about stuff flying out of the van, getting blown 10 feet away. I got to chase it down, so that adds to the stress. So I go to this bridge, and I look down this canyon, and I'm like, all right, this is where I got to shoot. So Kelly gets back in the van. I pull the drone out. And this one, you're already heading to the location, scouting within the same, like a mile up the road.
Correct.
So I get it out. I pull it up, and I go, and again, strong warning out the gate. And I'm like, whatever it is, what it is. If I lose it, I lose it. And then I take it up, and I shoot down. And there's these 2 sheep off to the left. And I'm just like, this is it. So I'm just going. And I go until I lose signal because it has its reach, especially within the canyon walls. You're limited to your reach. And this one is just, So I get it down there and I turn back and get that. I think like 2 or 3 times I got this shot. I get enough. I come back. I land it. And by this time, I have never landed my drone I've never caught it.
With your hand?
Never caught it with my hand.
Okay.
Never had a need to catch it with my hand.
Okay.
I did a shoot with American Express and American Airlines, or Jet Magazine and American Airlines, that I should have done that because I landed it on a boat and I almost lost it.
How'd you do it? You just
The cameraman behind me caught it.
Got it.
Thankfully.
Awesome.
That's a whole other story. So anyway, we get that. We get back in the van. We communicate with you. You give me a location. I can't remember, but we find our spot. We're driving to where you're at. Guy pulls us over. Hey, you better hurry up because there's a herd of sheep coming down and you're going to get stuck for hours.
And even before we get to that, when you were shooting that, I went to the original location that I thought we were going to shoot. I get there, it's crowded. And this is one of the things you can't figure out when you're like on a computer.
Yeah.
Is like, it's so crowded, like we can't do it. Like, so I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so we get in the car and we drive further down, like kind of like the backside of the national park or the park. We kind of go around the backside and then the sheep come in. So this continue.
Yeah. So we stop, and of course Kelly texts, just to give you a heads up. And all right, she's all right. And she's running. We're pulling up, and I just see her hauling ass down the hill trying to catch you because at this point you've already know you've logged in where you're going.
Oh, I've set up in a new spot that I love. It's amazing. I'm setting up for the location. I'm about to press play, and Jessica is sprinting down the mountain.
And when I say down the mountain, it's stepped almost, but it's still steep. And no path.
It's a good 20 minutes to get from here to there. Like it's full on, and she's sprinting at me and she's yelling at me, and I can't hear. Like it's just massive. So like she's yelling at me, and I'm like what? And she's like sheep, and I'm like sheep. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She's like there's sheep coming down the mountain. There's a sheep stampede, and I'm like what? What are you talking about? So she gets to me, and she explains to me that there's a sheep stampede because in the month of September in Iceland they will move the sheep herds.
Yep.
And so she's like, we might be here for 4 hours.
Give or take. I think it's what it was. Yeah.
Give or take 4 hours. We might be stuck in a sheep stampede for 4 hours. So I'm at this bike. I'm in the middle of a river valley, and I'm like, man, like
literally.
I guess we're gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go for it. Let's go. And I press play, and we start to record. And like 10 minutes into the shoot, I can see a ribbon of white, like crest the green.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that must be the sheep.
Yeah.
Here they come.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm looking and I'm like, I'm trying to time it like speed wise. They're coming towards us. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm starting to get stressed because I don't want to be there for 4 hours. And like
we've done that once.
Yeah. And so I'm freaking out. And then like this goes on for a number of minutes. It's thousands of sheep.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally. Yeah.
And like thousands. And then like they hang a left, but I can't see where they go.
Yeah.
But I knew we're almost done by that point in time. So I was like, okay, maybe we get lucky. That's my talk. That's what happened.
We did get lucky. So the sheep didn't come, but it still was eventful. So I pull up, turn around, park behind you guys, and then again I go for it. So in my sense of urgency to get down there and start flying, I forget my helipad, which is just a small thing that I sit in the ground, and it helps with grass, so the grass blades don't touch the blades of the drone, so it can take off without any issues. I forget it, and I'm literally there wasn't a flat spot anywhere. Because even if I'm at an angle and the drone takes up, the first thing it wants to do is level itself. So if I'm on a hill and I take off this way, it's going to level, and then blades are going to hit the side of the mountain. Fuck it. So take it off, do what I do, and it takes off. All right, that's easy.
Yep.
I'm like, oh shit, now I got to land it that way. So I take it off and I see where you're at. So I fly down. I always try to get a couple shots of you in that location, whatever the angle or the shot is. If it's a pull up, if it's a pull back, if it's, directly overhead getting you or just dead on passing you. And it came to the other end of that valley. So where I shot at the other end where those two sheep were, you're now at the other end of that.
Yeah. That's right.
So I could go in just a little bit and again, lose signal, turn back around, come back. And you were literally like on a riverbed with water flowing to your left or right.
Left and right.
And then it was a big, huge open field. Felt almost like Ireland.
Totally.
Or Scotland versus
100%.
Iceland.
100%.
So I'm flying. I'm like, all right, it should be wide open. I should have all the signal in the world. So I see this herd of sheep across the way. And what's more cool than flying over sheep and getting...
They're amazing. By the way, people who have the two people who have watched it, they specifically wanted an opening scene, but I didn't tell Nate, the editor, what it was going to be, but he picked it.
Did he? Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyways, the sheep are the sheep are crucial in this episode.
They are, for many reasons. So one, because I wanted to get that shot. I fly over, I get them, they react, and I'm in a safe distance. I'm nowhere near close to these guys, but this drone is particularly loud. And they've probably never heard this noise before, so it startled them.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, I'm probably 100 plus feet above the ground. I'm not too low. And they do their thing, they're running. So I try to get that shot and then signal loss. I'm like, okay, I know where the drone is at. So let me try to get back to where I'm at. And at this time, my battery is probably at 30%. And it gives me a time of how much time I have to get back. It's a warning, and it knows the distance of where I'm at versus where the battery's at, and it says, okay, it calculates.
Okay.
You've got X amount, you got to get back.
Okay.
So I turn around, and mind you, I'm literally in a green field. So when I'm flying, I try to find points of interest to know where I'm at. Legally, you're not allowed to let the drone leave your eyesight. Doesn't necessarily always happen, especially depending on where you're flying. Sure. So I'm looking, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. Where am I at? And I'm flying blind at this moment because I can't see I can't find anything in the area to where I need to be. I finally find the two vans parked on the side of the road. I'm like, okay, now where am I at in conjunction to the two vans?
Right.
So I find, and meanwhile, the battery's still beeping, and I see that time going down because now I'm fighting the wind. I'm coming into the wind, so it's dropping even quicker. Needless to say, I got it back with probably 45 seconds to spare, and I've got to catch it. I've never caught it.
Amazing.
I know it can be done.
I love this story.
So, and it comes down, and I literally, and I'm shitting bricks, right? I'm already committed that I've lost a drone before because I couldn't see where I was at. I'm like, this is it, Todd. I'm sorry, bro. I've got some footage here. This is what we got. But it comes back, and I ended up catching it, and I'm literally frustrated. I had all the feels. I mean, I was, I'm punching air. I'm kicking shit. I land it. It lands, and I change the battery, and then do it again. But I don't lose it per se. But the battery just goes out. But having to catch that thing in that wind for the first time. And actually, I think 3 times within that same flight, that same area. 3 times I had to land it and then catch it and then land it again.
I think you need to show them the sheep shot right here. Right.
I will.
Here.
Yes. Yeah. This is the sheep shot.
Yeah. You give them the sheep shot. I think that's an important piece of this this little thing right here. But it's like you only get one shot at this stuff. That's the hard part. Is like when we set up and we have a camera and we have a thing and we're set up and he's set up and I'm set up. Like there's so many things that we have that we can't control. And that's what I get nervous about. Is like we only get one shot.
Yeah.
It's one continuous shoot.
Yeah.
20 minutes, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. It's one continuous shoot, and like things do happen.
Oh, they do.
But we seem to somehow navigate it.
I think it all works out in the moment. Looks like anything in life, right? In that moment, it's the worst thing in the world. But it's a story that we're telling now that we have this memory forever. Totally. That footage is going to last forever.
Totally.
I really think going into the next one, whatever it is, I need to have something on me to show my action, my reaction, to vlog what I'm doing and going through. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure something else is going to happen again. It's inevitable.
Totally. Totally. So we get back to the van.
Yep.
We're both ecstatic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's no sheep coming at us, and we nailed it.
You know, no sheep. And then Jessica did this reel, and it's you talking to me. I mean, your animation is just ridiculous.
I mean, you guys, I wish you could see yourselves when you're like, sheep, sheep. And I'm like, holy, okay.
Because we have no idea.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm just a tourist.
So we leave that location, and I'm white gripping it down because I'm like, I got all this energy in me from what just happened.
Yes.
And then we make our way towards. We had another destination that we were going to end at for that day. It was our last shoot.
It was our last shoot.
Our last shoot.
And we were crunching against time.
Yeah.
Like we were burning. We were burning candle. But the good thing about Iceland at that time, like you have a long sunset because we're so high up.
Yeah.
So that was thankful. And we get to a place called the Ice Lagoon.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible place where Glacier Bay. I think that is one of the bays where Europe's largest glacier starts to calve and melt into these lagoons, and they go out to sea. And that was one of our locations that we chose. Of course, we get out and we park, and it's like stiff head breeze, like just stiff wind.
It was cold too.
It was cold, really windy, but I was motivated because I was like, well, this is the last one. Like, and I knew we had 3 in the books.
Yep.
So like as we do these, like, and you nail them and you get them down, like I get more confident.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we got one left. Yeah. We can do this. Great. And we started
because we went down right, and then kind of talked, and then had a game plan, and then turned back because there's a series of small parking lots on the way to Glacier Bay where the big visitor parking is, and I was like, these are probably going to be more ideal for me because I'm not trying not to be. This is a national park,
right?
So again, in theory, you can't fly there. I think I broke all the rules in this. So we get down there, we turn around, we come back, we find a great spot to park. You already get your gear ready, and you go to find your location. And then I come out, kind of set up behind.
Yep.
Go up, and then start making magic.
Yeah, we made magic, and then that one I really don't remember.
Like that one was a blur. That was quick.
That was quick. It was a blur. I don't really remember a lot of it. I remember I had a great time.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you like what I was thinking or details. I just know we went.
We didn't communicate at all during that one because you were down doing your thing. I had my eye on you, saw what you were doing, so I knew where I had to fly at.
It was straight business.
It was 100%.
It was straight business at that point. And I think you and I found our flow at that point where it was like, okay, just boom, you do, set up, boom, fly, I'll ride, do the thing, and let's go. Yeah. And
for me about that one, I mean, they're all about the location, obviously, but this one, because there was a series of glaciers in the water right here, it was, again, windy as hell, and having to take off and do that.
But an iconic shot you took with your camera.
Phenomenal. Yeah. So I gifted Todd an acrylic of him.
Incredible gift, by the way.
He's on his bike with a glacier behind him, but the foreground is almost very desert-esque, if you will. It's very rough and rugged.
Yeah.
Nice boulder to frame it. Threw his logo on there, and I'll show the image here. So this on it, yes, and then
it was awesome. Such an amazing
because I had not that I'd given up, so I said, you know what, I'm gonna come back in this because we went up to another spot. We camped. Kelly and I had another location we wanted to go to just to go see it, so we camped there. And then on the next day, I knew on the way back I was gonna come by.
Yep.
So I wasn't as pressed for footage because I knew I was gonna hit the location the next day.
Yep. And
so I packed up, grabbed a still camera, took that shot and a couple other ones. Because for me as well, even though it was a job, I still wanted my own personal photos.
Of course.
And experience it from that.
Of course.
So that was why I went and grabbed the camera and just kind of took those shots.
And it's so, these trips are I'm grateful for them, but I learn a lot and I get to experience a lot. And you just learn a lot about life, but I learn a lot about myself, a lot about yourself, but like you learn about the people.
Yep.
Like the first one that we actually shot at, the Narnia one, like we came out of a cave where they would hold onto lamb in the cave.
Yeah.
Like this is like 1,000 years ago.
Yep.
And they're living there like holding and keeping the sheep or the lamb warm inside this cave. And it's like you get real connected to the land, and you get real connected to the places, and you get connected. You and I get really connected, and it's such a beautiful little piece of artistic, I don't know, freedom. I don't know. What
I know. I would call it that, artistic freedom. I mean, it is an experience that not a lot of people get to have, especially in the capacity that we have it. Yes, you can go to Iceland. Anybody, you can travel there and have that, but to have the experience that we had, far and few people are going to have that kind of experience that we had.
Oh man, and I mean, you love what you do. Obviously.
I do. Yeah.
That's why we're a good team. There's something that is magic happens when you are trying to do something that you love, and like I feel like you get supported in unique ways, and doors open in ways that you just would never expect, or like having a sunset in that picture that you took. Like all these things, just I can look back at them and be like, man, like that is insane.
Yeah.
How many things have opened up for us, and doors opened up for us all within the window. By the way, we drove like 700 miles.
Yeah.
In a matter of 28 hours to do 4 shoots.
Yeah.
We were all over the south part of Iceland, and it was full on. I got in when we got done with the last shoot at the Glacier Bay.
Yeah.
I got in the car. I looked like I've never had that look on my face. It wasn't relief. It wasn't excitement. It was like, I don't even know how to explain the emotion that it was. I was like exhausted.
Yeah.
It was like excited, but I was relieved, but I was like, holy cow. Like, because these things it took a year to put that trip together. And like when it finally goes off and it finally happens and it happens, there's a huge release that comes off the body and my body. And I was like, wow, I can't believe we did that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was huge. So when you ride, how long are you riding each session? What is your?
We'll ride anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes.
Okay. So what does that equate to mileage?
That could be, let's just say 10 to 25 miles.
And so you're doing that basically. Obviously, you did this back to back in Utah. At a higher elevation,
nonetheless. At 9,000 feet.
Yeah, which already takes you. I was fucking tired just walking with my backpack on, more or less having to ride 10 to 15 miles or whatever that was. So I couldn't believe that. And then, so for Iceland's sake, we did that, and you had to get in the car and drive, and then do it again and get set up, all while trying to maneuver and manipulate and figure out what's happening. Mentally, it's exhausting.
It is.
And then physically, you had to do those 2 back to back. So kudos to you and your stamina and your ability and your capabilities to do that. That's really impressive.
I've been given a few gifts, and I wanted to share them. You know, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
For those of you who obviously don't know me, but like I train a little bit differently than a lot of people. I don't use a lot of metrics in my training or with the people that I coach. It's more by feel, and so. I've had great success in that, going down that road. I don't really track a lot of calories or watts or anything else that goes into sports and for my stuff. So Surreal Cycling is kind of an offshoot of that, and giving people a chance to reconnect to themselves through sport, but also just through cycling and also to themselves. So that's kind of my short mantra of what I'm trying to do here and why I do what I do.
Yeah. And it's in. So, what are your 2 Instagram handles? Surreal Cycling.
Surreal Cycling, but my major one now is just Todd Smith.
Yeah,
that's my.
I've noticed a big push.
Yeah. I people can identify with the brand and myself a lot better because of the face, and so
that is huge.
100%.
You're more than just a logo.
Yeah.
It's you as a person, your experiences, and then that connection that people have with you.
100%.
Versus that face or that logo, if you will.
100%. And that's something I had to learn over the last few years, was like, oh yeah, like people can just connect with me, the face versus the thing. So people can find me at Instagram on Todd Smith. And I also got a cycling app as well that you can find on the Instagram handle. And you can go there for free, and you can try it out, and we'll be shooting again, probably in California.
Yeah, we talked about that. I know we're going to be out, I think, February or March. We've got some birthdays that we celebrate every year, our nieces, and so it just works out to where it's going to be. I don't know what the location you have picked out, but we're always down.
Think Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Think where Luke bounces off the diving board and goes into the thing, into the sand pit. Yeah. Well, that's about an hour and a half from where I live. Okay. So we're going to hit that. Okay. Joshua Tree is a must. I know those 2 locations are coming up.
Dude, I'm down. Yeah. I've always told you before, anything that as long as I can financially make it, you know what I mean? The shop is pretty much with Tony. Thank you, Tony. Shout out to Tony, that it can handle itself. Awesome. So as long as, monetarily we're available to make that trip and do that, then I'm down, for anything.
Oh, man.
I love traveling.
We're going to shoot a bunch more next year. Yeah. I'm just excited about the Icelandic trip, and the Iceland assets that are coming out from here it's just insane. Yeah. If you ever get a chance to go to Iceland, like, it's one of those places that it delivers.
Yeah.
I couldn't overstate it. I couldn't it just delivered the goods on so many levels, and the people were just fantastic.
And I think doing anything, you have to understand or expect there's going to be some form of challenges and, doors closing, if you will. But we worked through those.
Totally.
Both of us. Me 30 years ago, sounds weird. I'm at a younger me, I wouldn't have been able to deal with that or maneuver around that or just take it for what it was. But I think with age comes that experience and that understanding that, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, there was like a month before I didn't know. I was like, how am I going to afford some of this stuff?
Yeah.
And then money came my way in a unique way from coaching, and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to use this money for that. And, and like I said, it just worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, and people come into other people's lives for a reason, and I think you and I met for this reason. I mean, it may sound cliche or whatever. And there are tons of drone operators that are out there in the world that you could have gone with, but I think our paths have crossed for a reason, and I think this is kind of where it's leading to.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
wholeheartedly. Like when you came on board for the Iceland trip and you respond so fast, I remember looking at the phone and I was like, that was too easy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you can't. Yeah,
I was expecting resistance or there's another obstacle supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was easy.
Yeah.
And I remember I put the phone down. I was like, all right, next thing.
For sure. Yeah. You don't have to worry about me, and it could be anywhere. Like I've told you, we plan on going to Switzerland and Germany and Poland at the end of next year.
Yep.
And if there's an opportunity for us to meet up at those times and win one spot, we could make that happen.
Oh man, dude, that's amazing.
I know we've talked about that.
Yeah, and I just think, I know your quality of your work is great.
Thank you.
And I know your persistence of making sure that your customers get the results that they want is evident in the way that you handle yourself and the way that you communicate and the way that because when you came back, I knew at Black's Beach you were ticked off, and you were hungry, and you were pissed, and I was like, get more footage, just not just for me, but for you,
for myself, for my own self satisfaction.
I could totally tell you were pissed off, and I was like, you know what? Go get more footage, because it's gonna make you feel better.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I appreciate that, because if not, then I'd be kicking myself in the butt. Last thing I wanted to do is be able to traveling home and be worried that I didn't get enough footage.
Oh, dude, you got enough footage.
Yeah.
Oh, you got enough footage.
I mean, it's so I can't wait to see it. What are we expecting for? So when is the Utah footage?
So everything right now we are everything's wrapping up.
Okay.
And it'll be in the app in the next 3 weeks. So before Christmas time.
Okay.
So
Utah as itself,
Utah,
and then
Iceland, all Iceland, all of Utah.
Okay.
Is all going to be in there. We even have some creative ones that we're going to take and do all of Iceland.
Oh, as a whole. See, and I. Yeah.
So we have a couple episodes that are going to be a mix of all.
Yes.
Which is really exciting.
Yep.
And
we still need to do. I've told you about this one that's every season. So
Yes.
you're riding in the same location in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, in the winter.
100%.
And something that's definitely very seasonal in the sense that you have the snow.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
something visually, I don't know if that's a 2024 or 2025 deal, but something that is going to be very seasonal and feel.
I've thought about that for a long time, and I do want to say just what has inspired some of this. There's just the drone footage and drone photographers around the world over the last 5 or 10 years have really changed the dynamic of so many industries. I feel my industry for cycling content, or real estate,
travel tourism,
everything. There's just I try to get this in the cycling videos that we make is some kind of jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring moment.
Yeah.
And drone photography can do that.
Oh, 100%.
It's and when you put that to music and you put that to but there's something about the drone that is a game changer. Not just for me and what I do, but for everything.
I agree 100%.
It's insane. It's insane. It really taps into something that I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
From inside of us,
right.
What we love about it.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel something.
It does. Even anytime I fly or I have a finished piece that I've edited and I've kind of seen it through and it's come to fruition, I'm like, okay, this is how I've kind of envisioned it this way. It's such gratification to see that. And I don't care how many hits it's going to get, how many views it gets. I know what I did to get that video to make it look like it did, or you know what I mean, from the shot aspect to the editing to the sound design to the music. It's all very creative. It's this creative process and an outlet that I love to have.
And I think this is one of the lessons that I learned over the couple 2 or 3 or 4 years of making this stuff, was like, we have to make it for ourselves.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The art that we make is really an expression and an offering to the universe or God or whoever you want it to be, and it's only meant to satisfy us. And if other people like it, great. If they don't like it, great. But I think what we try to do here is really satisfy a creative like scratch that we're just trying to itch.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the thing. If it feels good, then it's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think I really had to learn to like just go internalize, like, is this what it feels like to me that makes it feel good to me? And then if the answer is yes, then that's all that's all it needs to be.
Yep. You can't fight and try to strive to please everybody. So with that and that self-gratification that we all have this scratch to itch, advise you to follow Todd Surreal Cycling, Todd One Smith.
Todd One Smith,
on Instagram. You know where we're at, SK Digital, on all platforms. Todd, I appreciate you coming in. I know it's Thanksgiving week, so I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. You're down here with family.
Yeah.
And then I heard about a great basketball game that happened today. Hopefully that so I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we wish everybody else a happy Thanksgiving. Yeah,
I want to watch this. Thank you for just watching us, and also give Sean some support. I know he does great work in the neighborhood and the community, and I just want to say thank you for thanks for sharing my journey, man, and being a part of it.
Yeah, no, your journey is now my journey, so I'm here for it.
Awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.